Okay, the next part is getting the grass laid now. So I've just cleaned it all up, or the whole area. I've just got the gurney out. So I'll get the grass laid. Okay, the grass I'm laying today, or I'm not laying, Ausgrass is actually laying it, but it's called Buffalo. And you can see this is 45 millimeters in height. And you can see I've got the low and high, and then obviously when they lay it, it should look like that. Okay, the grass has been delivered. Okay, the first roll. This is taking 2 rolls. Okay, this is Luke from Ausgrass. Now Luke, is it better to lay grass on concrete or on gravel?
The best way, it is a lot better to have a stabilised base. So the most stabilised base that you can use is actually to have it on to, say, concrete, tiling, paving, anything that where the structural integrity is going to last a lot longer. We highly recommend, our standard installation process is to be done on a crushed rock foundation for the drainage. However, in situations like this, on projects like this, where we have a much more stabilised base with a good fall for the water to run away from around the main area of the pool area here, we highly recommend concrete is going to be the best option for you. So, but if you decide, if you have an area that has already got natural grass, gardens, that kind of thing, then a crushed rock foundation would be suitable as well.
Okay. Now, with you laying this carpet down, I've got a lot of curves, as you can see,
Yes.
in the concrete. Is that easy to cut?
It is easy in the sense that the difficulty level is extremely low. With the right amount of patience and experience, we always say in our industry, it's always best to think twice before you cut. Same way the old carpenters would say, measure twice, cut once. In our industry, it's think twice, then cut. So using a nice stable Stanley knife, we use Irwin blades. They're a much sharper blade than the more cheaper options that some people can use. And to cut the grass in between around the curved shape here will actually be a much more simple process with a very sturdy knife.
And also I'm guessing this has to be all glued down because you've got no spikes to go into the concrete.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, we do use a much more technical term for the glue that we use is a synthetic grass glue. The reason why they call it that is that it's the most appropriate adhesive to use around, especially onto a mortar or a concrete or a paver base. It is extremely strong adhesive that it would set usually within about 15 to 20 minutes. And what we do on jobs like this, we would actually glue a perimeter of around about 100 to 150 mil all the way around the edges here. That'll actually stop the wind from coming up underneath the grass, where it actually could flip it over if it wasn't obviously adhesed down correctly. But yes, in this more traditional sense, we do use 150 mil flathead nails, usually into a base, obviously like a crushed rock foundation. But correct, in situations like this, it's always done with a very strong adhesive. Liquid nails, a standard liquid nail can be used as well on DIY installations. But with what we do with our projects, we use a 4-litre tub of the synthetic grass adhesive, a green colour adhesive. That's the best way to tell the difference between what we use and everyone else uses.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Okay, Luke's going to show us how to cut around some of the curves. And that's how it's done. Well, the first half is just about just laid out. Okay, Luke's now going to join the two pieces of grass, and I'll let him tell us what he's actually doing.
Okay, so as I mentioned before in the earlier videos, so what we do with the adhesive, that's the Dunlop artificial grass adhesive. That's the one that we always use. It's a green colour. So as I mentioned in the last video, that the different colours can determine the difference of the quality. Always go when you open up your tin. If it's a green colour, you know you've got your right one. There you can see the colour there. We know that's our right glue, that's our green colour glue. Now before we do any synthetic grass joining, what we always do is that we make sure that we're cutting the grass to match it up perfectly. So on the backing of the turf, we can see our individual rib line of the synthetic grass, how it's stitched by the manufacturer. This one here has a gap of approximately 9 to 10 millimeters between the two rib lines here. So when we're putting a joint together to another piece of grass, we want to try to get it between 5 to 9 millimeter spacing between the two rib lines of the join piece. That way then the join becomes less noticeable even on the first part of the installation. What we use now when we're using the glue, we're just using a basic trowel. You can just use, don't have to spend a lot of money, you can just use a basic plastic trowel here. This is about $5 from your local Bunnings or hardware stores. Then what we do is that we have to try to envision our line. Sometimes you can mark out a line with a texter, but not in all cases do you have to do that, especially if you have the experience as an experienced installer. What we do now is once the glue, you have to be extremely careful with the glue, because once that touches the concrete, if it were to touch the blades of the grass, then that little speck of grass would be obviously no longer usable. So you have to be very careful and spread it as evenly as you can. Using a trowel with the teeth blades on the top gets a bit more of a smoother, even spread. Now you have to think as well that in the next part of the installation is obviously then you want to glue the outside perimeter of the turf to keep it fixed to the concrete. So what I always do is set up the join line and go approximately another 150 mil wider past the join line on the angle like this. That way then once that is stuck down, we can peel back the sides without obviously disrupting the join that we've just done. Again, it's obviously very important to keep it as clean as you can pardon me, with the glue as you're putting it down, because again, if you start touching up against the bucket here and then you don't think about it, it could actually then be put down somewhere else and stain obviously a tiled area or cause damages later on as well.
I think we'll glue the rest now and we'll come back when we're ready to join. Okay, all the glue's now been put right to the other end. Now Luke's gonna join it.
Now it's always good when you're putting your joins down is that you keep some weight onto it, because the bit of extra weight will actually start the backing of the grass attaching with the glue. And as you're going along your join, fluffing it up with your hand, just like that, will help then the blades of each side of the grass starting to curl into each other, which again makes the join a lot less noticeable and appears more to be one piece of grass. Trying your best obviously to keep the fibres of the grass separate. That way then the fibres of the grass don't fall on top of the glue. Then the final step is to put your foot over the top with a bit of weight and massage the join together, exposing all the fibres of the grass. And go back to front. You can do this a couple of times over the join just to make sure that there's been a lot of pressure on the backing of the grass to attach to the adhesive, but also then for the fibres to be separate from each other as the join sticks, and then as the grass folds back into each other as a natural spring, it begins to blend in and becomes more and more less noticeable over the coming time.
Thanks, Luke.
No problem.
Okay, Luke's now gluing the edge right around the area of the pool now. So he goes around like that all the way around. And then that's the sand that's going to go into the grass, which is called dried sand. Okay, now we're laying the sand down. Let's see. Okay, now Luke's just picking up all the scrap bits, there you go, and fluffing it up as he goes. So you can see all the hide is still on the grass, that's what he's going to pick up. The best part of the job, isn't it, Luke?
That's exactly right, because all natural turfs don't have little scraps of grass. Same way that when you mow the lawn, mow a natural lawn, you would go along and rake up any little bits and pieces. It's the same thing with all synthetic grass installations.
Very good. And the last bit of the puzzle, the clean-up. Cleaning all the excess sand. Okay, the finished product. And thank you, Luke. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Job well done.
Thank you.
Okay, just a view from the other end of the pool.